Last month, the inflation rate in the U.S. had the highest rise in 29 years. That's a terrible problem if you're planning on retiring anytime soon. You need to stop inflation from wiping out the value of your savings and investments. Noble Gold can put your IRA into gold or silver. It's government approved and so easy to do. This month, they're offering a 1-ounce American Eagle solid silver proof coin with every IRA or 401k taken out. Good evening. I'm still reporting on the coup. Unless you watched Tucker Carlson's show on Friday night, you did not get the news that the propaganda, the MSM and the DNC have been feeding the general public concerning the January 6th Capitol riot has now been fact-checked by no less than the FBI and found to be a political fiction to serve their political goals. This is a stunning development. Typically, politically motivated disinformation simply disappears off the radar screen of the MSM, never to be brought to a final conclusion. But not this whopper. But the reason the FBI had to come clean on the truth of the Capitol riot was to prevent a far more damning truth from coming out.
So, as a rule, federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI are not in the business of exonerating people. That is definitely not their job. Their job is to investigate crimes, gather evidence, and provide that evidence to prosecutors. That's how our criminal justice system works. You are innocent until proven guilty. That's the whole point. So the FBI doesn't declare you innocent. That's the assumption we all get from the beginning. The Constitution makes that very clear. Again, it's the whole point of our justice system. So it's worth paying attention when the FBI makes a point of exonerating large groups of people, no matter who those people are. And that happened today, when several FBI sources told Reuters that, in fact, January 6th was not an insurrection after all. According to Reuters, there won't be, quote, any charges alleging that any individual or group played a central role in organizing or leading the riot. So there was no plan to overturn the election. There was no coordination at all. As one law enforcement source told Reuters, quote, 90 to 95% of these are one-off cases. Then you have 5% maybe of these militia groups that were more closely organized. But there was no grand scheme with Roger Stone and Alex Jones and all of these people to storm the Capitol and take hostages. Therefore, don't expect any more charges for conspiracy or sedition or anything like that. Huh? What is this? Since when does the FBI go out of its way to leak information exonerating Roger Stone and Alex Jones? What is going on here? As a threshold matter, it's worth remembering what the FBI was claiming for the last 8 months. On January 30th of this year, the FBI planted this story in the Washington Post, one of many. Quote, FBI probe of U.S. Capitol riot finds evidence detailing coordination of an assault. Meanwhile, every national security expert, including the former FBI director, repeated that line verbatim on television for the entire year.
What we're learning about how the insurrection was planned and new warnings about the threat we still face.
You really don't end up with a crowd of that size, of that direction, of that cohesiveness without a significant degree of pre-planning.
Every law enforcement leader has said that this was coordinated and planned.
All the witnesses agreeing this was planned. This was a planned, coordinated attack.
These were not tourists. These were not misfits. This was an organized insurrection, and all the images that you're showing prove that.
There's no doubt there were at least some conspiracies, people wandering around exercising their First Amendment rights. Don't bring ropes and ladders and sledgehammers to a spontaneous event. This was a planned assault, as if going after a castle.
The second I saw this picture, I knew it was staged by the left or the FBI or deep state or whatever you want to call them. Having been to many Trump rallies, Trump people would never act like this. And what's the point of scaling a wall like a lefty rock climber anyway? Look at this picture. There are gentle, elegant steps on either sides of these show-offs. Easy to get up to the Capitol. No, you don't have to climb a wall. This was a staged photograph to perfectly fit in with the planned narrative that former FBI Director James Comey and others would repeat. It was a planned assault like on a castle. Exactly. And that's not what Trump people would ever do. Why? Because it would be disrespectful to our nation's capital, and there was absolutely no practical reason to do it other than create a set-up photo to run in the newspapers around the world the next day. Why? To encourage the notion that Trump people were dangerous and needed to be dealt with harshly.
There's no doubt there were at least some conspiracies, people wandering around exercising their First Amendment rights. Don't bring ropes and ladders and sledgehammers to a spontaneous event. This was a planned assault, as if going after a castle.
These people are so dishonest. What they don't want to admit is that the people who were there that day thought the election was stolen from them. Why did they think that? Because the way that we vote was changed at the last minute using COVID as a pretext, because the tech companies working at the behest of the Democratic National Committee shut down opposition online to the Democratic candidate. Is that a fair election? If that were happening in Hungary, would we say that's totally fine, that's cool, that's democracy? No. And every American knew that, and some of them were mad enough to go to Washington, and some misbehaved and broke the law. We're not defending that, but the idea that this was coordinated by white supremacists, no. It was Americans who believed in democracy until they saw it thwarted by the people you just saw on TV. So now the FBI admits there was no insurrection. Every normal person knew that at the time. Chewbacca guy wasn't leading a plot to overthrow the U.S. government. What a lie. So what is going on here? Well, keep in mind this. The FBI has never stated, publicly or otherwise, how many of its agents or proxies were involved that day.
My guess is every one of these rock climbers were just that, FBI agents or proxies.
It's pretty clear if there was organization going on, some of it came from the feds. That's true. We were attacked for saying it, but it's true. Court filings from the DOJ show the government identified many alleged ringleaders of the insurrection, but weirdly, those people were never charged. Those ringleaders appear to have been working for the FBI, and there were a lot of them. In all, Revolver News has reported that there are, quote, upwards of 20 unindicted co-conspirators on the January 6th indictments, all playing various roles in the conspiracy who have not been charged for virtually the same activities, and in some cases, much more severe activities as those named alongside them in the indictments, end quote. That's not some whack job right-wing opinion. You can check the indictments for yourself if you want, and you should. So the question is, how many of those unindicted co-conspirators were working for the DOJ? That's a good question, one that nobody seems interested in answering. Dick Cheney's daughter's out there every day demanding that we have this investigation. Adam Kinzinger cried about it on TV, but they don't want to answer that question. Why is that exactly? Well, today's announcement from the FBI guarantees that none of those ringleaders will ever be charged. Oh, that means if they were working for the FBI, if they were agents or informants, like the leaders of the plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan, for example, there's now a very good chance we will never know. Maybe that's the point. None of this means the DOJ is going to stop prosecuting political dissidents, however. They're full speed ahead on that. Just today, the DOJ, the Biden administration, announced is charging a host at InfoWars, a man called Owen Schroyer, with several federal crimes, including, quote, entering a restricted area on January 6th. Well, that sounds bad. What did Owen Schroyer do? He didn't go inside the Capitol building on January 6th. He stood on the Capitol steps with hundreds of other people. He didn't even loot Macy's, like Black Lives Matter. He just stood there on the Capitol steps, a building he thought he owned as an American citizen. What's going on here exactly? Well, Owen Schroyer's real crime appear to have occurred in December of 2019 when he shouted mean things to Jerry Nadler during a congressional hearing. The DOJ accused him of disorderly conduct and told him never go near the Capitol again. You don't want to hurt Jerry Nadler's feelings. He disobeyed. Now he's going to jail on Monday. Are you cool with this, Dick Cheney's daughter? Is that all right with you? Is this the country you want to live in? How about that, Adam Kinzinger? Is this the democracy you fought for? Please. So the ringleaders of the riots go free, especially if they're working for the FBI, but the people who offend Joe Biden's friends, they're in jail.
I'm still reporting from just outside the soon-to-be-restored citadel of world freedom, Good day.